Most people don't end up around toxic people because they're naive. They end up there because the early warning signs look harmless at first. We tell ourselves, they're just intense, just misunderstood, just having a bad day. Those small explanations are usually why we ignore what our instincts noticed long before the damage was done. But the warning signs are usually there from the very first conversation, if you know what to look for. And by the time the pattern becomes obvious, it's usually already taken a toll. I'm Stephen Walters, and I help people stay calm and grounded in a noisy world without becoming reactive or cynical. Today, we're breaking down 7 personality traits that should set off immediate alarm bells. As we go through these, pay attention to what feels familiar. That's usually where the pattern starts. Point number 1, Machiavellianism. The schemer who treats people like pawns. Machiavellianism is a personality trait marked by calculated manipulation. These are people who don't see relationships as connections. They see them as a strategy. They're charming when it benefits them, careful with information, and rarely transparent about their true intentions. What makes this trait dangerous isn't aggression, it's patience. They'll play the long game if it gives them leverage. Here's a grounding question to ask yourself early. Do I feel understood or do I feel managed? When someone is managing you instead of relating to you, your needs slowly become secondary to their outcomes. Recognizing this early helps you avoid long-term entanglements that quietly drain your time, trust, and decision-making. Look, I've taught communication for years, and this pattern shows up far more often than people realize. And if this trait feels cold, the next one is even colder. Point number 2, everyday sadism. Enjoying others' pain or discomfort. Everyday sadism doesn't look dramatic. It looks subtle. It shows up when someone seems to enjoy your discomfort. They might laugh when you're embarrassed, push your buttons just to watch your reaction, or frame cruelty as just joking. If you call it out, they'll often say you're too sensitive. But here's the truth. People who care about you don't enjoy your pain. Discomfort isn't bonding. It's a signal. When you normalize being uncomfortable around someone, you start shrinking yourself to keep the peace. Noticing this pattern early gives you permission to stop tolerating behavior that erodes your confidence over time. Now, this next trait explains why even when things hurt, people often stay. Point number 3, trauma bonding. Why we get addicted to highs and lows. Trauma bonding forms when emotional intensity replaces emotional safety. The relationship cycles between closeness and conflict, affection and withdrawal, relax and anxiety. And that unpredictability creates attachment. You're not staying because it's good. You're staying because the relief after pain feels powerful. Here's the reframe that breaks the cycle. Intensity is not intimacy. Peace shouldn't feel boring. It should feel safe. Once you recognize the cycle, you stop chasing emotional relief and start evaluating consistency. That shift alone can change how you decide who deserves continued access to you. And it's worth staying with me here because the next signs are often the ones people excuse at first, even though they quietly do the most damage over time. But sometimes toxicity hides behind humor and compliments. Point number 4, negging. Backhanded compliments that lower self-esteem. Negging is a subtle form of emotional erosion. It sounds like you're smarter than you look. I usually don't like people like you, but that's impressive for someone with your background. The insult is disguised as praise, and the goal is simple. Lower your confidence just enough to increase their position. Healthy compliments don't come with a sting. If you feel smaller after being praised, pay attention. Repeated small hits to your confidence can quietly change how you show up. Catching negging early helps you protect your self-image before it gets reshaped by someone else's commentary. Now, here's another one of the most damaging signs of all, because it happens when you're not even in the room. Point number 5, smear campaigns. Ruining your reputation behind your back. Smear campaigns happen when someone quietly rewrites your story to others. not through facts, through implication. They'll say things like, "I'm worried about them. I don't want to say too much, but you know how they can be." The goal isn't truth, it's preemptive damage control. By the time you notice, the narrative may already be circulating. Here's the grounding reality. You cannot out-explain a smear campaign. You can protect yourself by staying consistent, not reactive. Over time, patterns speak louder than whispers. Reacting impulsively often reinforces the very story being spread. Staying grounded and steady protects your credibility far more effectively than trying to correct every rumor. Point number 6, boundary testing. Ignoring small limits to see what they can get away with. Boundary testing happens when someone repeatedly ignores or pushes past small limits, not in dramatic ways, in quiet, incremental ones. They interrupt when you ask for time. They keep pressing after you've said no. They frame persistence as enthusiasm or concern. Each individual moment feels minor, but the pattern adds up. Boundaries aren't usually broken all at once. They're worn down slowly. Recognizing early boundary testing helps you stop negotiating your comfort before it becomes expected that you will. Healthy people adjust when limits are stated. Toxic people study how flexible those limits are. And there's one more sign that often gets mistaken for vulnerability. Point number 7, chronic victimhood. Always being wronged, never being responsible. Chronic victimhood shows up when someone is always on the losing end of every story. They're misunderstood, unfairly treated, constantly taken advantage of, and somehow accountability never enters the picture. At first, this can look like sensitivity or openness. Over time, it becomes a pattern of deflection. When someone never takes responsibility, problems never get resolved. You end up managing their emotions while your concerns go undressed. Awareness here helps you avoid getting pulled into fixing situations you didn't create. Empathy is healthy. Endless emotional cleanup is not. If you recognize any of these traits in someone close to you, don't ignore it. Your peace of mind is worth protecting. If you want to go a little deeper into this topic, this next video offers a few practical ways to deal with toxic people without losing yourself in the process. I'll see you there.